So if we wish to succeed as a human being, and if we wish to succeed in the eyes of God, we need to see what is the intention behind our efforts and the intention behind our works. How do we get to know that our intention is off the mark in the eyes of God? How do you know that your intention is not pure? God has created a parameter within which will ring the bell. Just like if you put your hand in the fire, two things will happen. Firstly, the hand will start getting burnt. And secondly, you will experience pain. The hand getting burnt is a terrible thing. Experiencing pain is not a terrible thing. Experiencing pain is a blessing, because that tells you there's something wrong. You watch out, you need to pull your hand out. We people run away from pain. Oh my God, there's pain, doctor, give me a painkiller. But the pain is like the bell which is telling you there's something wrong. God has fitted 50 lakh pain sensors in this body to warn you right away there's some problem, beware. Similarly, God has created something to warn you, kuch gadbad hai. If you find anger arising, greed arising, tension and anxiety arising, they are all indicators in God's machine which He has given to us. Watch out, you are going off balance. And when it's related to work, so what is the pain sensor in work that tells you your intention is not pure? This is stress. Why do we become stressed? We don't only do our duty, we become invested in outcomes. ऐसा होना चाहिए, ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. This attachment to results is what stresses us. So out here people create a doubt that supposing I am not attached to the outcomes, how will I work properly? If your mind is detached from outcomes, your intellect is calm and equipoised, and you can perform at optimal efficiency. Like, let's say you go for a job interview. Now you've not had a job since 6 months and the mortgage is piling up. It's a critical matter. So will I get selected? Will I not get selected? 30 other people have been called. With all these thoughts in your head, the interviewer asks, how old are you? And where do you live? As for your age, you respond, Dallas. Where do you live? You say 45 years. What happened? Your intellect got stressed out. So your efficiency reduced. In other words, to think that if I am not stressed, my work will suffer is the wrong understanding. If you are not stressed, your intellect will become totally normal. Ask surgeons. They have to do such fine work. A little carelessness out there can mean a matter of life and death. So a surgeon has been performing operations since the last 30 years. He is a reputed surgeon of the DFW Metroplex. But today, all of a sudden, his son had an appendix burst and an immediate surgery was required. You tell the surgeon you operate on your son. Are nahi baba. Why? What's the matter? You're the best surgeon around. No, my son's matter. I will become nervous and make a mistake. I'll get my friend. You come and do the surgery. So the surgeon is realizing that if he's invested in outcomes, his work will suffer. And if he is free from that attachment, he'll be able to perform at the optimal skill level. This is called NATO. NATO out here is not attached to outcome. Not attached to outcome. See, when you work in that spirit, not only do you work better, but you also enjoy your work. Like, for example, people play golf. And where is all the excitement? It is all about the outcome, whether it is under par or over par, how am I doing? So they are not enjoying the shot. They are only enjoying the score. Instead, you forget about the score. Just focus on playing the best shot and enjoy taking aim, taking the golf club up and bringing it down properly, coordinating your musculoskeletal system. Focus on the shot. You will realize you get the best score of your life automatically. So when Sri Krishna gave us the science of work, this is exactly what it was. He did not ask us to stop working. But what Sri Krishna is telling you, Yogina karma kurvanti sangam tyaktvatma shuddhaye. This is a beautiful verse of the Bhagavad Gita. I believe it's the 11th verse of the 5th chapter. Yogina karma kurvanti. Sri Krishna is defining who is a yogi. So what does he say? If you can do chakrasana, are you a yogi? No. If you can do mayurasana, are you a yogi? No. If you can do Brahmari and hold your breath for a full minute, are you yogi? Says, no, Arjun. Yogina karma kurvanti sangam tyaktva atma shuddhaye. Who is a yogi? One who is working. He may be a king like Dhruv, Prahlad, Ambarish, Prithu, Vibhishan. These great kings were great karma yogis. They were ruling kingdoms. Now, to rule a kingdom, you have to do Sam, Dam, Dand, Bhed. Otherwise, how do you keep your kingdom intact? Doing all that, they were still detached from the fruits. These were the yogis according to Sri Krishna, the karma yogis. So, the art then is kamana chodo. Kam na chodo. Kam is work, right? Kamna is desire. So, kamana chodo, give up desire for the fruit. Don't give up the work that you are doing. Now, give up attachment. How do you give up attachment? This mind is such that the more you say, okay, give up attachment, the more it will get attached. Swamiji said, give up attachment. Whom should I give up attachment to? Where is my mind attached? It is attached to the jalebi. So stop thinking of what? Stop thinking of jalebi. Every time you think of giving up attachment, do what? The jalebi will come in your mind. And it will only increase your attachment, not decrease it. So how do you give up attachment? You see, the Bhagavad Gita is so beautiful in its philosophy. It goes far beyond Vipassana. Somebody asks, what is the difference between Vipassana and the Bhagavad Gita? The Vipassana is only telling you to give up, renounce. The Bhagavad Gita is going beyond. It's saying, don't just give up, attach yourself to God. So you detach from here and attach out here. One is coming from the minus y-axis to the x-axis, and one is going on the plus y-axis. It's not just a question of giving up, it's a question of developing loving attachment to God, and that is Karma Yoga. So what does the Karma Yogi do? The Karma Yogi has detached the mind from here and attached the mind to God. And when the mind is attached to God, then your intention will become pure. How? Whatever you do, don't do it for yourself. Do it for the pleasure of God. He is the enjoyer. So what does the Karma Yogi do? He does all his or her works for the pleasure of God. Yat karoshi yad ashtasi yad juhosi dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya tad kurushva madarpanam. Arjun, whatever you do, whatever you drink, whatever you eat, whatever austerities you perform, whatever you give away in charity, tat kurushva madarpanam, do it all as an offering unto me. So when you become attached to God, it changes your perspective, the way you look at things. In material consciousness, I am the enjoyer. This whole world is for my happiness. This is my family, my property, my bank balance, my prestige, my status, my ego. That is material consciousness. And the Karma Yogi changes that around. The Karma Yogi says, this is God's world, I am His servant, everything belongs to Him. Whatever abilities and powers He gives to me, I will use this all in His service. So the spirit of service comes in. That spirit of service is natural part of Karma Yoga. What have we done in the process? In material consciousness, we were attached to the results because we were thinking they are for my enjoyment. And that attachment created a storm in the inner world called stress. That storm was God's way of telling you, look, the balance has gone off. Gadbad hai. You need to correct something here. Now some people listen, some people don't listen. Sometimes you need the stress to increase too much and then you will listen. Like if the pot of misery increases tremendously, then people say, okay, now let's get detached. So that stress is the parameter that God has given to indicate, look, this is not the way to work. And remember, the outcome of your work is not in your hands in any case. You can put in your best efforts in your work, but you may still not be promoted. The other guy may get promoted. The outcome is not in your hands. Why? Because there's a boss out there. He may be moody, he may be partial. Your colleague may be buttering him up, whatever. So, the outcome of our work depends on many factors. The effort we have put in. The effort we put in past lives, our past karmas, our sanskars. Some people you see in educational institutes, they put in little efforts and they become toppers. Others burn the midnight oil and then still they are second divisioners. So there is no one-to-one correlation. Your past karmas, the karmas of others, the collective karma of the place. All of a sudden there was an earthquake somewhere. The collective karma of the place. Sometimes the will of God, God wants something to happen or not to happen. Sometimes sheer luck. You were driving this car and this 15-year-old teenager jumped the light and came and hit you. Sheer luck. You were in the wrong place at the wrong time. What to do? Right? So, firstly, the results can never be controlled. And secondly, the results are not for you. Offer the results to God. The moment you do that, you become freed of attachment and your whole consciousness changes. So when you get freed of attachment, now the stress disappears. So the purity of intention can easily be brought about by this technique of karma yoga.